Order. Start off with a roll call.
Okay, Delaware County, Joe Cazzola.
He's out there.
Alan Holly, all right. Ryan Hanel.
Present. Sure.
Matt Delameter.
Here.
Margaret Wilson.
He's down the
In the
hall.
hallway also, all right. Fulton County, Margaret Howard, excused. Country Suite.
Here.
Jack Farquhar.
Here.
Michael Tracy. Working. Hamlin County, Joyce Bellini is excused. Philip Bellini present. Davis Warner.
Here.
Gary Wicks.
Here.
Montgomery County, Tom Pasquarelli.
Here.
Nikki Swartz. Here. Trish Green, excused. Tony Agresta.
You had to go back to work.
Had to go back to work. Osceola County, Sid Chase.
Here.
Beth McGowan.
Here.
Dr. Markowitz.
Hallway.
In the hallway. Oh, person. Lots of stuff going on in the hallway. Tim Foster.
Here.
Rich Kirschman.
Here.
Harry County, Ed Brand.
Here.
Bill Beavers.
Here.
Ed Hillenbrand.
Here.
Dr. Lutz.
Here.
Mark Zeke.
Present.
Lou Jones.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Leinhardt is excused. Sir, we have a quorum and then some. We have enough of a quorum for 2 meetings.
All right, perfect. Everyone should have received the minutes to the December 21st meeting. Any questions, corrections, additions, deletions? If there being none, I will accept the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Okay, who's second?
Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Perfect. Introduction of guests.
Introduction of guests. We always have nice guests, but we have a whole bunch of nice guests today. We have Joe Farrell from the state of New York. Joe, welcome. Kathy Simons from Wells Daniels. Howard Youth is here. John McMillan from Gabac. Vic Jones from Cooperstown County Office. John Wilcox here, did he land?
He didn't get back.
He didn't get back. Frank Sharon didn't get back?
No.
All right. Bill Dunham is here. Nick Brent is here, welcome. And a guest of Dr. Lutz, Megan Jean, who is a third-year medical student, and welcome. We don't get medical students all that often. Nice to have you. Did I leave anybody out? It was not deliberate if I did. Okay.
Chairman's report.
Correspondence.
Or correspondence, I'm sorry. You should have received the list of correspondence. I think we're down to one tree for that list now.
We try to whittle it down.
Chairman's report. We had a brief discussion this morning during the REMAC in regards to, and we'll touch a little bit on it in our state council report, in regards to policies and procedures of both the AAREMS Council as well as the REMAC, and some of the things that we probably should have in writing due to the fact that we have things like employment and we have processes in place to approve certain things. So with that being said, we thought it would be a great idea to form a committee. My goal is to try to keep it as small as possible so that we can actually get some work done. But I certainly would look for some volunteers to review what we currently have in place. Phil is going to take a look and get that stuff together, to take a look at what we have in place, as well as working at creating what needs to be created and or editing what we have in place. I have asked Beth to chair that committee, and I certainly would be willing to accept any volunteers. Okay? We got a couple here.
Okay, sing out whoever you are.
Ed Brand.
Ed, all right. Okay.
Who else we got?
Ryan.
Ryan.
Okay.
Beth?
Need to be a seated member?
You do not need to be a seated member as far as I'm concerned. Howard.
I'll help with it.
And Mark? Okay, Mark.
So, you know, the purpose of, if I may interpose, the purpose of any of our committees is to make recommendations to the membership, so you don't have to be a seated member of the council to be on a committee.
So that serves my report. Secretary's report.
Certainly. On December 26th, the day after Christmas, remember Christmas, we received a request in the form of a completed 5136 from Dana Wygand at Sydney EMS for approval of EMS charts as their new ePCR software provider. I have the application here, it is complete, and I would like to make a motion that we approve Sydney EMS's choice of a new PCR provider, EMS charts. Who's second?
Mickey. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
A little bit of information. The mileage reimbursement rate for business travel in 2018 has been set by the Internal Revenue Service at 54.5 cents per mile. This is an increase of half a cent a mile over 2017. Just so you know, We've been advised that Andrew Johnson has been appointed Acting Director of the Bureau of EMS and Trauma Systems following the retirement of Lee Burns and pending appointment of a new permanent director. On January the 11th, we received notice of an AED use by the Sydney Police Department. The patient was a 41-year-old female. Unfortunately, she did not respond to resuscitative efforts. I have some interesting AAREMS statistics as we begin the new calendar year. Total number of credentialed techs in AAREMS is 289. That's not an all-time high, but it's very close to it. AEMT level credentialed is 8, total of 8. Critical care techs credentialed, 73. Paramedics credentialed, 208. Number of ePCRs uploaded to the state bridge for 2017 as of this date, because there is still some more uploading is going to be taking place, 35,575. This is compared to 29,964 for 2016 and 28,456 for 2015. The number of paper PCR screened and sent to data collection for 2017 to date is 4,606, and therefore approximately 88% of all PCRs generated in this region on a yearly basis are now generated electronically. This is a very high percentage and makes for a good base for data analysis and QI purposes. And we have one notice of enforcement action. An individual from East Islip, New York, that's in Long Island, suspended for 18 months, effective 12/18/17. First 3 months actual suspension, remaining 15 months stayed. And they must provide an alcohol evaluation within 3 months and comply with recommendations, if any. This information will be fully documented in the minutes. And again, I ask you to take a look at the correspondence logs in the minutes, because I would ask you to consider any information in those correspondence logs to be part of my report also. That, sir, is my report.
Treasurer's
Treasurer's report. On January 2nd, we forwarded to the Department of Health a claim for payment in the amount of $45,831.17 for our program agency contract for the period from October the 1st through December 31st last year, together with the standard deliverables reporting tool for that period. On the same date, we also forwarded a claim for payment in the amount of $8,571.19 for our council contract, and the standard deliverables reporting tool was also forwarded. And Mr. Brandt of the Department of Health has advised us just yesterday that approval of the payments was forwarded to the controller on January 17th. I expect we should have payment within 2 weeks. And a printed report of the cash flow and balance sheet was distributed to all members. And Mr. Pasquarelli, Mr. Jones, Mr. Chase, and Mr. Farquhar first received detailed cash flow balance sheets and register reports, plus copies of canceled checks as per the review arrangements decided upon with our auditors. And their report?
Everything was complete and accurate.
Okay. That's it.
All right. Motion to accept the treasurer's report? Second? Any discussion? Not? All in favor? Abstention?
I will abstain as a staff member.
Regional program update.
Nothing to report, sir.
All right. Training.
I will mention to Joyce, whose arthritis is unfortunately does not permit her to be here today. Training committee, I sent in a timely manner information on the RSI paperwork, including the testing documents, out to all members of the training committee and the REMAC positions. And at the REMAC meeting today, we received some feedback from them, and I will report on that a little bit later on in the meeting.
Okay, the training committee meets next month at 10:30 here, for those of us that participate. Transportation and standards.
Transportation is standard. Nothing further at this time from the Wells TOA. Davis, has that been,
We have a new town supervisor that just went into office January 1st. I did not meet him with it right away. Next week.
Good luck.
being awful nice, aren't you?
State council report.
One more little squib. We have heard nothing further from MOVAC Ambulance. If you recall, last month I mentioned that we had received a letter from MOVAC Ambulance. They made a request for us to revisit and revise the wording for primary operating territory that was established when the MOVAC TOA was voted on by this council on May 18th. This letter was forwarded electronically to Dan Clayton at DOH for his comments and advice. We've heard nothing, either from DOH or from MOVAC, nothing further. That's it, sir.
State council report, I printed it off for you guys. Just a couple of reminders, there was actually no SEMSCO meeting due to a lack of quorum. We had 16 members that were present due to the whole town having the flu. There was some talk on whether or not we actually had a quorum. The law says that there's supposed to be 32 members of SEMSCO. However, the bylaws say that there's 31. So when after about 45 minutes of the state bureau attorneys deliberating, it was decided that the law is the law and we couldn't have a meeting. So everything that happened in the committee meetings throughout the 2 days will hopefully take place at the May meeting. But with that being said, we are getting a new set of statewide BLS protocols, hopefully in May. They will be approved. There was some conversation on whether or not there were, what changes were going to be made, some of how the layouts were, what should be in, what should be out, whether there should be pediatrics in the protocols or a separate set of pediatrics for protocols, and more importantly is what is the age of pediatrics, because we haven't debated that 1,000 times. So apparently in the hospital, they either use 18 or 21 was the general consensus. So we wanted to be a little bit different, and we're going to use 15, younger than 15, for pediatrics. With that being said, you can certainly read what some of the discussion was in regards to each of those individual protocols. However, with pediatrics in particular, our biggest problem facing EMS is actually how we transport them, and that is going to be key. Along with that, EMSC has sent out a survey for pediatric equipment. Every now and then we get it either every year or every other year as part of the grant. We have a couple of people that, from this region in particular, that did not complete the survey, JVAC being one of them. There was a couple from, I think, Otsego and Delaware counties as well. I asked Phil to reach out to those agencies to make sure those get done. That program, we have to have 80% of our surveys in order for that program to receive the grant funding.
I got an email yesterday and they're shy about 7%.
Correct. There's still 7%, and like I said, we had 5 or 6 agencies, I think, that.
There is a core quantity of agencies in our region, 5 or 6 agencies in total, that are totally unresponsive to this. They have not. I've reached out about 4 times now to these agencies saying, please complete the survey. It only takes a few minutes to do, and we've heard nothing from them.
That might be a contact issue, because my father got that email instead of me, and he's never been an officer in the agency. he checks his email like once every 6 months.
So you may want to fill out a new one of those I'm the contact
Yeah.
forms and submit it.
But we were talking about that before, I wonder if that's a continuation of that officer update stuff.
I mean, that's certainly, somewhere along the line, the state got his email address, so.
Yeah. no, that's-
Somebody said I've got Nick's address and gave him your
Yeah.
dad's and not yours.
I can see how we
Yeah.
get mistaken.
Under training and ed, like Phil said, Andy Johnson, he had announced that he is the acting director until they find a replacement for Lee. Attached to this report, you'll see the 2018 CMU requirements that was rolled out in vital signs and what the requirements are going to be.
Don't
as
take
far
that
as-
in stone. That was
Right,
pulled
there's
together.
still probably will be some tweaks to this. However, with that being said, the state is now accepting both the new form and the old form. And while we're talking about forms, please use the forms that are actually on the DOH website, not stuff that you have in files that may still be valid. Go to their website every single time and pull a new form up to make sure that you're using the most up-to-date form. The change in law in regards to the age of the EMTs will be up for public comment on the register from January 24th to March 6th. So if anybody has any issues or wants to comment, please feel free to do so.
Tom, could you clarify that just a little bit for the group here and have them disseminate back to their agencies? Because we've got a ton of people calling to try and get 17-year-olds into EMT classes.
Which is actually encouraging.
So,
Maybe.
yeah, we talked about this. I mentioned after the last state council meeting, they're looking to change the regulations as far as what is the age of an EMT. Currently is set at 18. They are looking to change that to 17, which I'm pretty confident will happen. The goal in that is mainly to help enroll EMS systems, also to bring these classes to to high schools, to BOCES programs, to somebody out in the rural area that can help volunteer at a younger age. So that's the overall goal in regards to that. That was also, if anyone read the part of the State of the State address, the governor obviously made that a priority in his wording as well. So,
Specifically, though, it is not enacted currently. And
Correct.
the rumor mill is not getting that. Seriously, we probably had 15 to 20 phone calls about how to do it and how to get people in and how to set things up. And it's an idea until it's passed in legislation.
correct, and the public comment doesn't even start till January 24th and runs till March 6th.
So, does that require parental consent?
They did not.
It would, right, exactly. It's gonna mean that we'll need to adapt to the legislation.
And that's not passed yet.
Yeah.
There
So
was
if
a
you want to
few-
see what it says, then go to the registry and look it up. Look at the register and see what they're proposing.
There was an update on the instructor exams, which I found to be kind of surprising, that it actually taken some of our instructors up to 6 times to actually pass this, and some, even at the 6th time, have not had success. And every 2 times, there's a remediation process, so they've had a lot of chances. The state themselves did not think that this was going to be a problem, in that it by far wouldn't take these people nearly the amount of times to do this, so they never put a final number on how many times you were eligible to take the exam. However, internally, they have pretty much discussed that if you can't pass it after the 6th time, then you shouldn't be teaching. CIU hours for the education for recertification has gone from 6 to 8. This policy will be out soon. Critical care to paramedic bridge is about 80% complete. They're just trying to do some of the formalities to bring this thing to fruition. Keep in mind, this is a bridge program only. So they had a couple of the speakers that were developing this program from Northwell EMS for the state. And every critical care program is a little bit different. And some critical cares learned a little bit more or a little bit less than others. So this is clearly a bridge program. You will definitely need to be up to speed on the critical care curriculum in order to pass this class. It's not an easy class. In fact, one of the guys that is assisting in writing this program laughed and said he wasn't going to bridge because it was hard. So the other 2 points I want to bring up is it's literally a bridge. It's not a complete paramedic course. To clarify any confusion that might be out there, that you can just take this and you're going to be a paramedic, and you will also not be eligible to take the National Registry exam. They are currently looking at some ways to hopefully get this course funded through the Bureau, but that is yet to be determined on how they're going to do that. Like I said, with the new protocols, there was some discussion on how we're going to train everybody to get these new BLS protocols rolled out to everybody once they are finalized and ready to go. EMSC, we did touch about the pediatric equipment and the surveys. Those are things that we usually do. Those surveys talk about pediatric equipment, and Martha actually happened to be in the ER, who is very active in EMSC, and they brought a patient in, the commercial service brought a patient in with some equipment that was actually put on backwards. So the focus isn't that, okay, we just have the equipment in our ambulance. The focus is also going to be now on, okay, we have the equipment, and does everybody in the agency know how to actually use the equipment?
I thought it was very interesting looking at the list of services from county by county. It looked to me like almost all of the services in Nassau and Suffolk County
Did
have not bothered to participate.
Right.
Shocker.
Yeah, I agree, but really is a head shaker. I had a question about the CC Bridge. I think it's not a bad idea that those who complete it are not eligible for National Registry. However, was there any discussion about a path for those people at some point?
There was not. This course, not at state council anyways.
All right, just a
was-
question.
There was not. It is not, this is not part of, I don't know how they worded it. It's not really a path, the normal path that the National Registry would take. So
Right.
they're, that's the way they left it.
Okay.
And I can speak a little bit on it. The registry itself, in 2013, stated that anybody who takes the paramedic registry exam must graduate from a COAMPS accredited program. To grant COAMPS accreditation, you have to be part of a college and or hospital base. There's rules that come with it, etc. Just as an example. And if you don't, you can take a full registry paramedic refresher course somewhere and then be eligible. So a CC who bridges to paramedic would have a process through the registry to chase down, but it wouldn't be a state process or state aided process. But if they contacted the registry, if they were looking for a registry card, there's a mechanism for them to do so.
Thank you.
I don't think there's a far-fetched discussion about them going the next step after they created this to get that process done for registry as well, to get a COAMPS accreditation with Northwell Health or with the state itself. So
Yeah, I think this is really being looked at as an internal, in other words, statewide
Yeah.
solution to get CCs an opportunity to come up to paramedic level with the least amount of hurt to them as possible. And I think registry is really not a New York State issue right now, so it's not one that's being taken into account when there's a whole lot more pressing issues to address first, which is, being able to get this education to CCs in a manner in which that they can still continue to provide care in New York State.
like they said, they didn't discuss any of that at all during the time frame, nothing, or any type of further action to go on to that either.
No.
Continuing on, Finance Committee met and put together the budget for 2018-2019. Not much has changed from our request for The 17-18 year, we're asking for just over $24 million, which includes a 10% increase to program agencies such as us that haven't seen an increase since about 1996. Unfortunately, as much as we were in the state of the state for the first time in a long time, if not ever, from the governor, we'll see when it comes to budgeting time if he can make all of the promises that he put in his state of the state come true with the funding. So, time will tell. Safety Committee has been revising the emergency vehicle operations policy statement 0013. The revisions are pretty close to being completed, and hopefully we'll be back out at the end of the May meeting. 822, which deals with ambulance construction, was ready for approval and was forwarded to the SEMSCO, but like the other forwarded motions, they did not get to be voted on due to no quorum.
Nope.
And then we're looking at, the committee's also looking at putting together a list to help with agencies in regards to like ballistic vests, provider safety, provider fatigue, whether or not providers are fit for duty. You know, there was several conversations on providers working multiple jobs with multiple agencies and coming to work tired and putting agencies at risk. So those are things that they're all going to be looking at. The Systems Committee, I did attach the operations report that has all of the CON stuff that's on there. You can tell that Dana and Dan have been extremely busy in 2017 with all of the CON stuff. The one thing that they stress is agencies that are recertifying, they have to either recertify or are doing CON stuff, please get them into them early. So recertification should be in 45 days before the expiration of that ambulance or agency recertification. And that is sometimes not happening at all. Sometimes people are literally driving them down the day before an agency is going to expire, and obviously that can't work. And along with that, your narcotics license is expired, so if you don't have an agency number, then you can't have a narcotics license, and as you can imagine, there's a whole bunch of things that can happen in regards to that. So, CON stuff, get it done and get it done early.
You said timely and sufficient. You can't submit an incomplete application 2 days before to give yourself time to work on it.
There's been an influx of the medical director forms that we all complete with, whether it's through our recertification and or PAD programs. The wrong form is being used. This goes back to what I said. Please use the forms that are on the website to make sure that they are the most up-to-date form. We talked about the REMSCOs having operational policies on how they handle things, and our committee will be working on that. EMOS is coming out, so hopefully they'll roll it out over the next 3 to 6 months. There was some confusion in the policy statement regarding auto injectors in that there is actual wording in there that pharmacists are able to prescribe them. That is not the case. A pharmacist cannot prescribe them. A pharmacist can only dispense them. So they are going to change that policy statement and get a revised version out relatively quickly. We do only, as of right now, have one uni-CON. That should be in 6 months before it actually expires. Talking about the MOVAC thing, not in particular, but when an agency receives your CON or your recertification, please look it over. Make sure that the name on the certificate is the name of the company and that your operating territory is exactly how it should be. As crazy as it sounds, we have to be reminded of that.
Tom,
Yes, sir.
can you elaborate a little bit about the e-most? Is that something that's going to be, that form's going to be available electronically?
It is.
Is that what it is?
It's been adopted in New York, and they just need to figure out how to roll it out, which is supposed to happen over the next 3 to 6 months.
I get a feeling that and the BLS protocols may come out in a single package, that they're gonna try to roll out these updates all at once.
Norman, a few months back or a year ago, they talked about regional updates and all of these different protocol updates and how they were going to roll them out. And the general consensus was to do this once a year. and roll everything out at once so that everybody can do one training and be up to speed. Well, I don't think it's really been carried out that way up to this point. But I think that with the adoption of the new BLS protocols, EMOLST, and a bunch of the different training opportunities that are going to need to come out, I think that they're going to roll it out one time and figure out how to train everybody in EMS to do it.
Sometimes it's timely, it needs to be out.
There was a brief conversation on FirstNet, so if you don't know what FirstNet is, that's basically a communications contract that was awarded to AT&T. One of the things that they'll be doing is building cellular networks specifically for EMS and emergency services. It was just a reminder that AT&T is going to be in this area. They have 4 years to build this service out in this area, and year 5 is supposed to be live. If you receive a call as an EMS agency from AT&T, don't blow it off as a sales call, especially those of you who live in rural areas and may need cell towers, because that may be exactly why they're calling, is to see what your area needs are and working with emergency responders. So at least hear what they have to say. If it's just a sales call and you want to hang up, then that's up to you, but make sure that it is just a sales call first.
Could I comment just briefly on that, because I stand in a unique position of being a first person able to comment on FirstNet. We have noticed over the last 6 months or so that cell service in the greater speculator area has degraded markedly from, for example, I can step outside our office and look up and see the cell tower site. It has degraded from 4 bars down to 1.5 if we're lucky. That's right there in speculator, not even 2 or 3 miles away from speculator. So the Emergency Management Office in Hamilton County took some issue with this, as we all have, and together with the Sheriff's Office, they made some contacts at the state level. I'm not familiar with what agencies they contacted, but Verizon, I contacted Verizon as an individual subscriber, and they sent me a short video urging me to use a signal extender in my office to get better coverage. In other words, they blew me away. And they did this with several other people in town. But they couldn't quite blow the county away, particularly since they got state government involved. It turns out that AT&T came in a little while ago, quite quietly, and took the Verizon antenna off the tower and put it down lower and put their antenna up top, so they would have a better signal. For FirstNet, the only problem being that AT&T is not a cell provider, a cellular service provider in our neck of the woods, but Verizon is. In any event, Verizon lamely came forward and said to the state and the county emergency management office that the quote-unquote, these are their words, they had inadvertently, AT&T had inadvertently moved the antenna. Several individuals I spoke with said that it's difficult to inadvertently move an antenna off the whole point of the tower, but be that as it may, service has marginally improved. Verizon service has marginally improved to maybe 2 bars now in speculator. But FirstNet apparently was the AT&T motivation for coming in and moving their antenna. Presumably, Verizon gave them permission, although they're not admitting that they did. Stay tuned, we'll give you more on it. So under the guise of improving cellular reception, particularly for the emergency services, they have degraded cellular reception in the greater speculator area. For what it's worth, I present that.
So DISHES is the lead agency in New York for the FirstNet. The governors, I think we were the last state to sign on to the project. I think he signed on the last week of December. But they're saying that they're going to build out the system, and the way it's written is it has to be built out rurally and urbanly at the same rate. So they're even committed to working with the Adirondack State Park, where towers aren't allowed, to get coverage. And it's this current cellular system we have, it just prioritizes FirstNet devices. So if you, through your agency, register your cell phone, or the cell phone on your rig is a FirstNet device, it takes priority in using the tower.
Just an an interesting factoid. The tower in Speculator, which is on the Oak Mountain ski area, is grandfathered in it. It was erected before the Adirondack Park Agency came to be, and therefore it is exempt from Adirondack Park Agency interventions of any kind, which is one of the reasons that everybody wants to get up on that tower.
The topic of EPCRs and drop sheets came up at the systems committee because, you know, we had nothing better to talk about. And they basically said they wanted to keep this at a local level. I think between the hospitals that we have worked with and most agencies here, we have rectified this problem. However, if any hospitals still have a complaint, please work with your EMS agencies, vice versa. Work with the hospitals on how to get those PCRs in a timely manner. The state realizes that with EPCRs and more web-based PCR programs, that it's not easy to just leave a PCR at the hospital at the time. Drop sheets are acceptable, but whatever demographics and information that needs to be on them has to be okayed through the hospital in which you're living. And then we did have a brief discussion on the State of the State address, and like I said, EMS is in it for this time, which is a good sign. We're at least on the governor's radar for the first time in a long time, if ever. It is an election year.
And I did want to clarify that CME-based recertification is not yet rolled out. Changes for that are not yet rolled out. So that was a draft. I wrote the thing here, and I picked it up from the slides that were presented to us at Vital Signs. So it is, again, draft and done as the best as I could from a series of slides.
You have anything else you want to add, Beth?
No, you covered it all.
That is the State Council report. We next meet May 15th and 16th. REMAC. You want to do REMAC?
Yeah, REMAC. Dr. Fisher acted as presiding today at REMAC in the excused absence of Dr. Lionheart, and Dr. Fisher did have to leave before this meeting. REMAC business, I'll just give you a quick run through. It'll be a comment on in detail in the REMAC minutes and also in these minutes. Middlefield Volunteer Fire Department sought approval to form a BLS FR unit, and REMAC gave their approval to that. Next, their application has to go to the state. Connecticut, Maryland Emergency Squad sought provisional ALS status as their members begin AEMT level training, and that was granted. Merrydale Emergency Squad sought approval of their new service medical director. That was granted. It was noted that the Wells, the Volunteer Ambulance Corps, is now operating at the BLS level. There was an update from Joe Farrell on the status of BLS-FR agency recertifications and agency compliance with DOH recertification and inspection requirements. And Joe noted once again that we qualify for another gold star. We're rapidly running out of room on our plaque for gold stars. That's not a bad thing. There was some discussion and action on the revised RSI-QI guidelines and testing material. Dr. Adirondack is going to be sending some comments, and I'm going to be rebroadcasting those to the training committee members and the REMAC physicians for further discussion, review and discussion. And I think that's, there was some discussion on notes that Tom just made about the SEMSCO, talking about REMSCO agency policy and procedures and so forth. And we will be having further on that.
All right. County reports, Delaware.
I don't think we have anything to report from last week.
Otsego?
We defer to Victor Jones to give our Otsego County report.
An update in regards to the EMSC grant. After receiving a phone call from Beth McGowan and an email from Dan Clayton, I reached out to Springfield Fire Department First Responder Unit, and they immediately completed the survey, and Dan Clayton has been advised of such.
Thank you. Scahary.
He's working on the EMS coverage issue that we've been having problems with. We have a meeting tonight with all the squads in the county at 7 o'clock, and shed some more light on what's going on next meeting.
Perfect, thank you. Montgomery, we don't have anything to report tonight. Fulton,
Nothing new.
Hamilton. Perfect. Any old business?
Yes, if I may, I'll give you a quick update on controlled substance licensing and hospital pharmacy involvement in such. On January the 11th, I had the pleasure to meet at Lincoln Hospital with the vice president of the hospital and with two gentlemen from the hospital pharmacy. Extremely productive meeting. When it was all over, they advised me that of the ALS agencies that they supervise that come within their purview of care as far as controlled substance plans, Speculator Ambulance, Northampton Ambulance, and Ambulance Service of Fulton County are now fully on the same page and fully compliant with the hospital pharmacy regulations. And they're just waiting to get contact with the Johnstown Ambulance, JVAC. They have not had productive contact with them yet. But our meeting on January 11th was extremely productive, and we will be, actually Mike Tracy will be picking up, tomorrow, we'll be picking up our controlled substance renewals from the hospital pharmacy for Speculator Ambulance. We have to wait till tomorrow so he can be in an official vehicle, since you can't transport those in a private vehicle. That's my report.
All right. Any other old business? Not new business. Any new business? Howard.
Two quick things. One, as I've been trying to keep you guys advised, our EMT class that we thought we were going to have to scrap because of low enrollment, it's actually higher than it's been in a couple of years. So we've got, I know, right, threaten to close it and everybody shows up. Hey, if it works, I'll threaten that every time. We've got 20-something people in our class, and we've been trying to cap an EMT class at 20 because it makes it a better hands-on experience. And we are officially looking at an AEMT class from May to October. Our plight right now is that we've got about 70 people who have responded that they were interested. The issue simply comes down to schedule. About 60% of them want a daytime, weekday course. And we're looking at doing it pseudo-hybrid, where you'd actually come to campus for one day during the week, and then the rest of it would be asynchronous learning. The other group wants 2 nights a week with some weekends. And honestly, it's going to come down to, we put another survey out there just quickly for scheduling on our Facebook page. We've distributed a couple agencies also. And the winner will be the majority, and that's how we're just going to have to do it this time. So, but we're looking to start in May and test in October.
Howard, it's probably an unfair question, but I want to ask you
I love
anyway.
those.
Do you detect that the request for the preponderance of requests for the daytime weekday class is from people seeking to do this as a career, or volunteers, or a mix of such?
You know, up until about 2 months ago, I would have said that I would agree with your thinking in the sense that it was people who are looking to do this as a career base. And then I'm completely proven wrong by an entire fire department that says, yeah, we're all volunteer, we want a daytime, 5-day-a-week CFR course for 1 week. So I truly don't know what anybody wants anymore. And I think, you
that
know,
flies in the face of conventional reasoning.
right. So when it was explained to me, it was, well, we have a lot of retirees, and they'd like to just do 1 week of CFR, get it done, and staff their agency. And I went, that's some good thinking.
That's a no-brainer.
As far as EMS schedules, some of the AEMT daytime requests, you know, for folks that work in the field, Saturday, Monday, or Wednesday, or Friday are the same day. There is no such thing as a weekend. So whether it's a Monday once a week or it's a Saturday once a week doesn't make much of a difference. Surprisingly, we've actually, because I sent the survey out further out in the state also, we've had a large amount of people from downstate that can't find an AEMT class that would come up for the night prior, stay in town overnight, do the day class, and then go back.
That's very similar to when we run a CLI or even CIU. We get a lot of folks from downstate.
Right. So, you know, again, I'll believe it when I have people in seats in a class, but we're just trying to make the most amount of people content, happy, etc. So,
thank you.
So we're trying. And thank you guys. We had over 100 people again at our winter symposium and some really good reviews. So if you came out, thanks for supporting it.
Anybody else have any other new business? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Adjourned at 1:45, we next meet on February the 15th. Dr. Marcos, I have your
But I can tell you that there's no.
I was at the building, there's no crew. Awful hard to go with anybody heard of it. Ben, I was trying to get him a drink.
I tried to do that for him.